So what we would like to do is to have an overview of what we have studied till now in about 5-7 minutes. Then we'll continue the next section, that is Discover Yourself 5, Substance and Shadow. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnana
Om Ajnanatrivandhasya
Anjana Shalakaya
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Chakshurvatam
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Vasadi
Shri Vasadi
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Rama
Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
So we had begun by discussing of greatest monumental discoveries we can make in the 21st century after Einstein and Faraday is the discovery of our own self. And we had in DYS session number 1 studied about can a scientist believe in God, which meant that can we rationally prove existence of God, not sentimentally. In that session we discussed what are the two fundamental questions of life. What are they? Origin of creation, origin of life within the creation. They are most important questions of our life. And then there are two ways by which we are trying to approach these questions. One is through science and another is through spirituality. Right? Then we saw the science and spirituality have got two commonalities. They are same. Number one, both begin with faith. This begins with faith in mind and senses, which are imperfect. Spirituality also involves faith in scripture, the word of God, which is also faith. And secondly, both have the same theory, experiment and result, method. Sambandha avidheya prayojana in Sanskrit terms. So we have an hypothesis, then we make an experiment and then we reconfirm that it was true. So same methodology is employed in both of them. However, in that sense, science and spirituality are not at war with each other. They are actually comrades on their search for the absolute truth, the cause of all causes. And this has to be very thoroughly understood. And accordingly, we don't have to let go science or let go spirituality. We have to become spiritual scientists. So that was our one session. This was first of the first session. The second concept in the first session was theistic and atheistic arguments. Remember this? So we had atheistic arguments, chance theory, Big Bang theory, evolution theory. And we saw some basic common sense about how should we deal with those theories. And we also saw some theistic theories, theory of order, design, law implies lawmaker, energy implies energetic, organization and craftsmanship indicates organizer, and we also saw the universal government. the parallels between government and universe that we stay in. So these are some theistic theories. And then thirdly, we came back to our conclusion that what is the duty of a spiritual scientist? We should continue exploring the wonderful creation of God with the aim to benevolently use the science in the service of mankind, not to harm it. So the benevolent use of technology was one aspect. Only when we become spiritual scientists can we do that. Otherwise our economy is against our ecology. The way we are just exploiting nature to expand economy, we are insane the way we are doing it. We will be the only species that successfully planned, launched, conducted and monitored while it was happening the extinction of their own species. That is what is happening. And that's why this concept is very important, that we have to pay attention to the benevolent side of utilizing nature and its resources that can only come through spirituality. Science is blind without spirituality and spirituality is lame without science. So the Andhapangu Nyaya, you have to sit the lame man on the back of the blind man. So the combination works very fine. So that was our conclusion to the session that we gave. Then we had the second session of device. Title. Please tell me at least the title. Vedas. Okay. That was third one, but true. Ways of gaining knowledge about God.
Getting eyes to see.
Getting the eyes to see God. And we saw three ways of gaining knowledge. We saw Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. And we saw how these two are valid only to the degree they match with Shabda. In any field of life, it's not just hearing from an authority forms the basis of gaining knowledge, whichever field you may be in, even in science, even in day-to-day working life. So Pratyaksha and Anumana are faulty because we have four defects. What are those four defects? We have imperfect senses, we get illusioned, we commit mistakes and we have cheating propensity. Because of these four defects, human beings cannot give perfect knowledge. Every one of us have these four defects. So therefore the knowledge has to come from a source that is apaurushaya, that has no human origin, for it to be perfect. And the standard of such a knowledge is that it doesn't change with time. It remains the same. And that's what the Vedas are, Shabda Praman. And very briefly we touched upon, Shabda comes through Parampara system, disciplic succession, and we can even access it today. It is possible. So that is the getting the eyes to see God, right? We get them through Shabda. God is seen through ears, not through eyes. So first we hear, we comprehend, we contemplate, we apply and we see that how this is true. Then the third session that we conducted, what was the title? Vedic Wisdom, the Privilege of Mankind. There we saw the speciality of human life. In contrast with animal life. Animal life is characterized by four activities: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So if a human being spends his life doing these four activities in a sophisticated way, it doesn't make him better than animals. It makes him a dvipada pashu, two-legged animal. But the actual purpose of human life is athato brahma jidnyasa. Now that we have got this human form of life, we must inquire into the supreme absolute truth. Who is God? Who am I? What is this creation? Why have I been born here? These fundamental questions can be only asked by those who are human beings. So that is speciality of human life. And the other activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending are needed for the upkeep of the body, but they are not the goal of our life. They are subservient to this primary purpose, search of absolute truth. Then we saw this speciality of human life has been facilitated through the means of Vedic wisdom. And we saw a lot about Vedic wisdom. We saw, are Vedas not mythology? We saw who compiled the Vedas. We saw what are the Vedas, varieties of types of them. We also saw how can we, even in modern context, be benefited by the Vedic wisdom. We saw so many examples of in day-to-day life how much we are using the Vedic sciences to make our life better. So those things we also saw, and thus we established that Vedas are not mythology. They are a body of knowledge that is now forgotten over a period of time, because when the Britishers came, they replaced our educational system with their own system. But earlier the Vedic wisdom was prevalent in India until just 300 years ago. So many sciences have been lost since then. And also another thing that happened was, Vedic wisdom is given to a person who is qualified. So if the teacher finds that the candidate is not suitable, then he refrains from giving knowledge. It is not like modern education, whether you have good attitude or character or not, you still get the knowledge. It's not like that, the Vedic wisdom. Like we know Dronacharya, he denied Ashwatthama from teaching. Although he was son of a Brahmana. Because he didn't have the qualities of a Brahmana. That's how a teacher would better die with his knowledge than to give it to an unqualified person. This is another reason why Vedic wisdom over a period of time became lost. Major portion of it. But still, whatever is available is good enough. Of all the Vedas, 2 scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are the essence. If these 2 are learned properly, we can understand the essence of all Vedas. So, if you want to know knowledge by God and knowledge about God, then these are the 2 books we should study very properly. So after a device, we'll start studying these beautiful literatures, Vedic literatures. So that is speciality of human life, that we can cultivate Vedic wisdom. And we also saw that other religions and their scriptures are also bona fide, Christianity, Islam. However, they are only giving a revelation of God or revelation of our relationship with God to a certain limited extent. But the vastness, the depth and the elaboration of our nature of God, His kingdom, what do we do there when we go there, even the method of the way creation takes place, these details are given very, very elaborately in Vedic literatures than any other scripture of the world. And that is why we should take to this study primarily. That is how we fulfill our Brahma Jitnyasa, inquiry into the Absolute. Then we had the 4th session that was taken by Swaminathan Prabhu, our IITN professor. So he talked about science of soul, fact or fantasy. So in that session, we primarily saw how our identity, what we identify with, decides our destiny, where we are going. This topic is very important. If we have a wrong understanding of who am I, we may waste a huge, just like in the exam, if you have a mathematical equation and you make the mistake in writing down the equation only in the first place, a plus b plus c is equal to 3, and you by mistake wrote a plus b minus c is equal to 3, and then no matter how rightly you do all the rest of the calculations later on, you are still going to get the wrong answer unless you make a mistake again in between somewhere. Sometimes that happens. But generally we will get a wrong answer. So in our life, the equation of life has to be first understood and applied correctly. This is so important. Who am I? The science of self, Atma Tattva. Sometimes people when they quarrel, they catch each other's collar and ask, so who do you think who you are? अपने आप को क्या समझते हो? So they don't know. That's $1 million question they are asking. It's a very important question of life. So if I'm thinking I'm an engineer, then my mind works in a certain way. If I think I'm a nationalist, then my life and perceptions are in a certain way. If I think I'm a very beautiful woman or a man or a handsome whatever, then my whole life is geared up in particular direction. You understand? So who am I really? Am I an Indian, American? Am I a human being? Am I engineer, doctor, man, woman? Who am I? These are all bodily designations. They don't indicate who am I. This body has got these designations. Even the name that we carry was not there on the label. Laga ke nahi aaya tha log. When we came out of the womb of the mother, this name, this person's name is Preetam. Ow, the baby comes out. It doesn't work like that. So even these are bodily designations. Who am I really? And that's the topic of science of soul. In that topic, we established 5 proofs of soul's existence. Soul as anti-material particle. To make it simple, spiritual. Anti-material. Having opposite qualities of that of matter. That resides in the region of heart and that gives body life through consciousness. And that anti-material particle is a part and parcel of God. So that science, that proof that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, was what we discussed in the session 4. And what were the 5 proofs we gave you? Anyone recollect? This was the latest session that we had, so you must remember something. What are the 5 proofs of existence of soul?
You gave the example of a baby, because the body is formed around the soul when a baby is formed.
Okay, that is what characteristics of the soul. That is correct, what you are saying. We'll come to that. But we saw first 5 proofs. Not sentiment. Logical proofs that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. First proof was common sense. Common sense is very uncommon. In especially modern times. Common sense shows that we all have this understanding. When I say this is my pen, my specs, my nose, my head, my belly, my legs, my body. What does that mean? That the pen and I are different. And it belongs to me. So when you say my body, what does that mean? I am not the body, body belongs to me. You may say, oh, that's too simple. How can you put it like that? It's just a linguistic play. No, you go in any language, it is like that. We have this feeling that this body belongs to me. And when someone dies, we say, वो चले गए. कहाँ चले गए? The body तो उधर ही है. Not a single cell in the body is changed. So where did he go? So that means the person and the body are different. Another proof of this is that in this body only we are already changing our body. Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Chara. Right? Internal reincarnation. Every 7 years, all the cells in the body are replaced. That means we are incarnating in new body every 7 years. But still we remain the same person. We don't change. After so many changes that happen in the body, people still identify us as the same person. That means person is not the body, because body is completely changed but the person has not changed. Common sense. So the second one is also called as intuitive understanding. The third proof of science of soul is past life memories. It's a proven scientific documented fact that children especially and sometimes even adults have memory of their past lives. Vivid and accurate details. And that is very amazing. How can that be? What is the common connection between that body and this body? It's completely different. But the person is same. He changed from this body to that. The next proof we saw was NDE and OBE. Near death experiences and out of body experiences. Again a scientifically documented fact that a person can see his body separate from himself. And in the last proof is presence of birthmarks as well as presence of phobias. You know, if somebody drowned and died in his previous life, then in this life he has hydrophobia. Otherwise there is no origin of that. Because he has no experience of water yet. But why does he fear water? Or sometimes if somebody is shot dead with a bullet, then the wounds on the subtle body come back again on the gross body in the next life. The person has birthmarks of certain nature. Another proof is presence of prodigies. Children. You saw the drummer boy? 4-year-old drummer. He's such a small boy, you could lift him and put him on the chair. And he sits and plays drums as if a pro and mesmerizes everybody. And that is not hereditary. His parents don't know anything about music. And it is not taught to him. There was no tutor appointed yet. How can somebody play drums at such an excellent level? So that is carried forward from the previous talent in the subtle body of the person. So we saw there is Atma, there is Sukshma Sharira, Man Buddhi Ahankar, and then there is Sthula Sharira, made up of Pancha Mahabhuta. And then we saw many characteristics of the soul. Soul is infinitesimal in size, soul has consciousness and it gives consciousness to the body. Soul has form, he is not formless, and that's why our body gets formed, matter develops around it. Soul is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. That they are the constituents of his existence. And that's what we are searching for in our life. We want eternal existence, bliss and knowledge. 3 major quests of mankind. And in this way we saw many characteristics of the soul, and especially soul is part and parcel of God, and it never merges with God and becomes one with God. He maintains his individuality even in liberated condition and serves the Lord. So these were some background arrangements on soul and its characteristics. And what to do with this knowledge? How does it help us in our practical life? If we all appreciate and understand that we are not just body, spirit, soul, so many of our conflicts in life will get over. On national level, international level, I am Indian, you are Pakistani, this, that, all bodily consciousness. So in this way, universal brotherhood can be established only after having universal fatherhood. I can't be brother with you unless we have a common father. And that can be established through the science of soul. So this is what we have covered till now. God, Vedas, who am I? Now we are going to talk about where do we come from and what is the purpose. And that's our 5th session, the substance and shadow, which we shall begin now. Any comments or questions so far? Why do we not remember it? Or why there is no commonality that can be established now? And how can we convincingly say that we are going to accept another body in future? What is the logic behind that? Two simple answers. At any given point of time we can see that there is past, present and future in our life. When we get to see a car down the road running, it is not that that car came into existence only at that time and it went out of existence. The car existed even before it came into our perception. It is there when we are able to see it, and even after it has disappeared from our eyesight, it still continues to exist. It was past and we are sure that there is present. We can be also sure that there is future. Another is that Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tam eva eti kaunteya sadatat bhava bhavitaha. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whichever state of consciousness you quit your body at the time of death, that same state you attain in your next life without fail. The actions that we perform throughout our life and the desires that we harbor in our heart make a sum total of our attitude or consciousness at the moment of death. And that consciousness dominates our thought, and we accordingly get our next body. This phenomenon can be seen in this life itself. For example, this is an interesting insight. You take husband and wife. You take their pictures, photographs before they got married. There is not much commonality in their facial, the way they look. After 25 years of staying together, you take the picture of the husband and wife, or you get to see somewhere the person, and you can actually figure out, it seems that that lady must be the wife of this fellow, and this fellow must be the husband of that lady, because often their facial expressions eventually convey their connection with each other. I don't know if you have observed this ever in your life. Why? Because yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever constant thought you have on your mind, your body is accordingly getting transformed. And Prabhupada was once walking on Juhu beach for a morning walk. And there was a nice fat businessman with a nice fat bulldog. And they both were doing jogging. The dog also did all. Both of their cheeks were going up and down. Like that. And Prabhupada and the disciples were very interestingly observing. Prabhupada said, is it not that the face cut of the master and the dog matches very much? Because he's constantly meditating. My dog, my this, my that. And because of the attachment, even the external structure of the person of his body becomes quite similar. So in this lifetime, we are making our body tuned to the consciousness or the thoughts that we are having in our life. Sometimes you can see the face of a person and you can tell this person is disturbed in his consciousness. This person is diseased in his consciousness. This person is whatever. Why? Because there is a correlation between the subtle body and the gross body. So what happens at the time of death? The soul has got subtle body and gross body. So the gross body drops down dead, Pancha Mahabhut, Prithvi Jala Apate Vayu, it remains there. But the subtle body is caught hold by the messengers of death and pulled out of the core of the heart. And the soul cannot be touched by the material elements. But soul is attached to the subtle body. Just like if you are having a car, you get so attached to the car that if somebody hits a stone on your car, it breaks your heart. Because of the identification, nothing has happened to you, but still something happens. That is called bodily identification. Dehatma buddhi. Atma ko deha manna. So because of that, the soul follows with the subtle body wherever it is carried, and that subtle body is where the laws of nature act to give next body, next gross body, the way it is destined to, according to karma and according to ichcha, desires that they are cultivating. And that is how the mechanism of death works. The soul is not bound to go, but he goes because of attachment. Another way we can understand this is Lord Krishna explains, Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganya gunavrittistha, adho gachanti tamasa. If you cultivate goodness in your life, you will be born in pious and opulent, materially opulent situations. If you cultivate passion, rajoguna, then you will be born as a mortal human being and continue doing your hard work, passionate activity, again in the next life. And if you commit abominable activities and cultivate tamoguna, ignorance, then you will be born in lower species of life. Cats, dogs, rats, cockroaches, animals. And what is the exact explanation? Why there are so many species of life? Why there is so much discrepancy? Why it seems that one dog is having a master race going around in Mercedes Benz and another dog is a street dog? If laws of nature are kind of equal to all, why the discrepancy? Why one child is born like this, why another child like that? So the law of karma comes into picture to give an explanation that what karma we do in our human form of life affects our many lifetimes based on where we go. And evolution wise we keep coming up in the species, finally get a human form again. That is our chance to again choose whether we want to continue the cycle of birth and death or we want to go back to kingdom of God, get moksha, liberation. And that's why human life is a very precious junction. We are standing at a crossroad and we have to make a crucial choice in life. What do I really want? And this is the understanding the Vedic literatures provide us. So, if those proofs are not enough, like I was telling about birthmarks, phobias, and also child prodigies, that's a proof actually. Otherwise, where else can that come from? That similarity or that connection. And same with our next body. We can see actually, we are developing a particular type of future for ourselves with what we are doing right now with our desires and actions. So this is the explanation of future lives. Now today we begin our next session. This is called the substance and shadow. One time I was traveling in the train, and in front of me one fellow was sitting, and this is Deccan Express. As soon as the train started, he actually so as soon as the train started, there was a newspaper boy. He called him, "Hey, come on, I want to purchase a newspaper." And then he gave him the rupee note, or whatever he had, coin. And then the fellow threw a paper inside. And then he took the paper and he looked at me and gave a smile. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Usko ullu bana hai." मैंने कैसे उल्लू बना? बोला fake note दिया उसको. You know, I said, "Oh, I don't know why he told it to me, but that's fine." Then he started reading the newspaper, and suddenly his face became furious because that was yesterday's newspaper. Tit for tat. It was such an instantaneous thing that happened, and he was also like, he didn't know what to do with this. So, the point is, if there is counterfeit note, it means that there is real currency. Otherwise, where can the counterfeit come from? Is it not? And if there is the mirage in the desert where you get to see illusory water, and there is this quench, thirst as an urge that indicates that I want water. So, this indicates that there is real water available somewhere else. Because for every urge in nature there is fulfillment. Is it not? So we all have this urge for perfect happiness, for perfect relationship, for perfect situation that we would like to be part of, and of eternal existence. That means this urge also must have some quenching made available in the creation. So, we had earlier spoken of the characteristics of the soul. Soul is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss. That is our constitution. If you see, all our exploration, scientific or otherwise, is geared for three purposes. We don't want to die. We want eternal existence. We want unadulterated happiness. Some people say, "अरे सुख चाहिए तो दुख अनुभव करने के बाद ही समझ में आता है सुख क्या होता है." So wrong philosophy of life. If you are drinking nice ice cream and somebody says, "You are too much enjoying ice cream, let me put some mud inside." Little bit mud you taste and then little bit ice cream, that will be much nicer. Will you agree to that proposal? Sure. I want unadulterated happiness. I don't want this mixed stuff. Then we are also searching after knowledge. We want absolute knowledge. If you see this Discovery Channel, people are going, in ocean, under ocean bed. They are going out in the space. They are going out somewhere on other planets also, searching after putting their telescope, microscope everywhere. What is knowledge? What is ultimate truth around in the creation? Urge for knowledge is so strong. So this urge must have its quenching. But what is our experience in this world? The objects and situations in the realm of matter that we come across have exactly opposite characteristic. Spirit is bliss producing, but matter is pain producing. Matter is asat, achit, nirananda. Matter is temporary, not long lasting. Achit, full of ignorance, no consciousness, no awareness, dead, dull, full of ignorance. And nirananda, matter cannot make us happy. No matter how much we exploit and enjoy matter around. So, those who are spiritualists are aware of these two characteristics of wanting to enjoy this world of matter. What are the two characteristics of wanting to enjoy matter? Number one is called Chapala Sukh, flickering pleasure, and number two is called Bhoga Tyaga, which means acceptance and rejection. You have understood?
It's there. It's there.
Chapala Sukha and Bhoga Tyaga. Two characteristics of material pleasure. Chapala Sukha means flickering pleasure. Every pleasure that we have in our life, we are aware, has limitation in terms of quantity and duration for which it gives us happiness. You understand? Like ice cream. As long as the ice cream maintains the contact with the tongue, there is a feeling of happiness. But the moment the ice cream is, the sense and the sense object loses their touch, it's gone. So in quantity it is meager, and in duration it is very short-lived. Any pleasure of this world, there is a lot advertised but very little experienced. Like big jam shooting, they show a nice well-dressed man and a girl coming and putting her hand in his shoulder. So people who watch the advertisement, they think, if I buy the suiting, the girl comes free. But that doesn't happen in real life. So there is much advertised, but very little experienced. We all have that experience. Most of our pleasure is only in planning. You have planned picnics sometimes. I will go to Goa, I will do this, I will do that. And when we actually go there, you understand that you get frustrated sometimes. Like you go and you have some romantic idea about what is Goa beach and this and that. And then you go there, some beggars come, paisa to nasa, and you get, hey, what? And there is people, having an unclean beach and some stinking smell and this and that. It's only, it's like a, or say for example, when you buy a new car. Before you buy a car, a lot of planning. My God, what all people think of. But in the beginning, after you get the car, you use it 5, 10, 15, 20 times, it becomes just a normal thing. It doesn't seem to offer that same level of pleasure that you anticipated in having it. Getting a nice job, for example. People, before they get a job, they dream about their job. Yes, a job, but after you get into the job, you think, this is routine, same boring thing stuff I have to do every time again and again. So in this way, like a gift that you get in life, when you, before getting the gift and once you receive it, there is some feeling. But once you get the gift, you see it up and down and left and right and keep it aside, the charm is gone. Nobody again and again goes back to the same thing. That is the nature of matter. It is, in terms of pleasure offering, pathetically meager and heartbreakingly brief. Any material pleasure of this world, even the best pleasure called sex life, comes under that category. Much is an advertisement, but very little is experienced. So that is the first characteristic of material pleasure, Chapala Sukha. The other characteristic is Bhoga Tyaga. Bhoga means, I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy. And Tyaga means, I am frustrated, I want to give up this. The very same object that we want to enjoy eventually becomes a source of detachment. For example, Rasgulla. Wow, first Rasgulla, amazing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 15, 20th Rasgulla, 25th Rasgulla, 40th Rasgulla. You say, come on, this is pain producing, this is not going anywhere great. Now the question is the pleasure in Rasgulla or is the pleasure in your mind? Because if Rasgulla has pleasure, then the same Rasgulla is being offered again and again. There shouldn't be any issue. But our capacity to enjoy is pathetically limited. And then the same thing becomes disgusting after some time. So this is called as Bhoga Tyaga. That's why people keep switching their jobs. Nowadays they switch their partners, they switch everything. Continuously want to change things around. That's the standard of Western civilization. Nobody is satisfied with what I have been given. Everybody wants to change situation constantly. Change is the only constant in their life. Otherwise they feel pathetic. They cannot live. And this is the symptom of Bhogatyaga. Another simple example, the top 10 songs that we have. In the beginning when the song is released, oh my god, people just listen to the beat and the choreography and this and that. And they say, aisa song maine aaj tak zindagi mein nahi suna. And after 15-20 days you see, where is that song? Nobody wants to listen. Sometimes the old song being played again, you say, shut it up. Get a new, what they call, new genius. Don't play the same one again. This is how the nature of material pleasure is. Bhogatyaga. You want to constantly change the platform for enjoyment. On the exact contrary is the nature of spiritual pleasure. Spiritual pleasure is not flickering. It's ananta, unlimited. And there is no question of changing the standard of pleasure again and again. For example, if you come to our temple, we have Mangalarati. Samsaradava nadaledha loka pranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charana Ravindam. We have been singing these songs for 20 years now. And nobody says, क्या है रोज वही song गाने का सुबह उठ के दूसरा नया song लेके आओ. Or we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. And nobody says, अरे come on, how long? एक ही मंत्र क्यों बार बार वही, दूसरा कोई नहीं आपके पास नया variety है. Now no new release in this week. There is no such a thing. Why? Because spirit is bliss producing. More you go on chanting, the more you feel like going on chanting. That is the nature of this spiritual substance. Same with darshan of the Lord. You come and take darshan first time, wow. Second time, wow. Every time you come, you feel there is so much newness and there is so much freshness in it. So that is the nature of spiritual pleasure. And we have experienced it in this world. It is not something it's fake or false. So that is why this, I hope you are clear. I am doing problem definition. How did I begin? If there is counterfeit note, there must be a real currency. Similarly, every urge has got its quenching. This was the background. Then we talked about we have this thirst for permanent enjoyment, which is not thwarted by conditions of material nature. We want unconditional pleasure, unadulterated pleasure. It must have its quenching in the creation. And what we are trying to enjoy currently is counterfeit pleasure. That indicates that there must be real pleasure somewhere else, which we should aspire to have in our life. So this is the background for the topic substance and shadow. Now substance and shadow we will discuss on 4 levels. Substance and shadow. The soul is the substance and body is the shadow. Material world in which we are currently staying is a spiritual world is the substance and material world is its shadow, reflection. Then there is spiritual happiness, which is the substance, of which material happiness is a shadow. Similarly, spiritual relationships are the substance of which the material relationships are shadow. That's the topic. So we can see we are all looking for substance. When we fall in love with someone, we like their eyes, their expressions, especially their qualities, right? Not just the flesh of the body. Of course, modern civilization is different. They generally go by the beauty of the skin than the qualities of the soul. And unfortunately, this body that we have doesn't retain its shape and structure over a period of time. And we all get frustrated about it because we want to maintain our beauty. Movie actresses, why do they retire timely? Because they want to maintain their charm on the minds or the craze in the heart of their followers. But we see that this body actually eventually becomes dwindled, decayed, and very obnoxious, especially in old age. And we don't like to be like that. But this urge to want to have an ever youthful body is an indication that it must be available. That's the point. In old age, people have to do so much. Facelift, skin surgeries to get it glowing, hair dyes and whatnot. Just to somehow or other look beautiful. And if somebody gives us a compliment, oh, you look not 60 but 16, you suddenly become overjoyed about that prospect. Another thing is this body is pain producing. Body constantly gives us suffering in so many ways. Each part of our body, for example this finger, how much pleasure can it give to me?
I just want to say that, are you moving the slides here?
No, I'm not. You want me to move slides?
I thought you were moving.
Actually what happened now? I am a traditional teacher. I like this blackboard and chalk mechanism than this whole technological stuff. I'm not against it, but it's my comfort. So the body gives us suffering. In fact, body is a vehicle designed for both pleasure and pain by nature. And most of us think that it is only going to produce pleasure, which is not true. Each part of your body can give us some happiness, but if something can potentially go wrong with it, it can give us untold suffering. Heart, liver, intestines, so many. The potential to give pleasure is limited in the body, every part. But the potential to give pain is unlimited in the nature. That doesn't decay, dwindle, get withered away by wind, burned by fire, moistened by water. And Krishna describes this in Bhagavad Gita. That nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutaha. So that the soul has these characteristics. People watch the Superman, He-Man, Batman, Ratman, Catman, whatever. What do they want? What's the Hirogiri? The body that is tenacious and is ever fresh and youthful, powerful, and can do any damn thing in the world. That's not fiction in the sense it's available. But our methodology is wrong currently, the way we are trying to have such a facility. It is possible through practicing spiritual culture that we revive our original spiritual existence, and the spiritual body that we have, it is not different from our own self. The spirit and the body are same. Is Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Very powerful. So that's the substance and that's the shadow. So the shadow indicates that there must be substance. The next item on the list is spiritual world versus material world. We all have this experience that in the jail, the facilities are available. Medication, food, some comfort like sleeping place. But they are not like the way the facilities are available to a normal citizen. It's all under punishment. Similarly, in this material world, which is like a jail, why do we come to this material world? Okay, soul is part and parcel of God, he stays in the kingdom of God. Why does he come here? Lord Krishna explains, Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoha sarge yanti parantapa. Because of independent desire, Ichha, and dvesha, sometimes envy, we desire to enjoy independent of God. Just like we heard the story of the prodigal son in the Bible. You know that story? There was a rich father and he had many children. And one of them became a rebel. He went to the father and said, why should I stay with you? I want my independent share of my property. Let me go and enjoy. The father told him, what's your problem? Everything is wonderful here. We are such a nice loving family. He said, no, I want to go away. And the father gave him the facility. And then the son left the home with his share of the property. In Marathi they say, Astil shite tar zamtil bhute, which means as long as you have money, you gather a lot of people around you. So all his so-called friends and well-wishers, they looted him nicely of all his money. And when he became a bhondi, then tata goodbye. They tell him Hare Krishna. And he was like left alone. And then he had to take up a job in a pig barn to maintain himself. There was an owner of pigs and he gave him a job and he told him, you feed the pigs this low quality flour and same you eat when you get hungry. And he was staying like that, maintaining the pigs. And he was constantly thinking of his father and his love and the wonderful life he had earlier. But he was feeling very ashamed, guilty, and often, maybe my father won't accept me back for the mistakes I have done. So one fine day, someone went and told his father that your son is like this, very pathetic condition. He's sick, he's diseased, and he's so poverty-stricken. And it is arranged that the father eventually arranges for the son to return back to him. And when the son arrives, he gives a grand festival party for the welcome of the son. And the son is so amazed at the love that his father carries in his heart, despite all the nonsense that he did. Then there is a grand reunion between the father and the son. Similar is our story. We originally belong to the spiritual world, kingdom of God. Krishna is our eternal father. And we left the spiritual world in our independent quest for happiness, away from God. That's what we are now also pursuing in our life. We somehow or other want to become happy without God. And in this way, there is this causeless unwillingness to follow the instruction of Lord and reunite with Him. You understand? Causeless unwillingness. Kya karan hai? If your father is a billionaire, he can provide for you any damn thing in the world. Why should you be unnecessarily not following him? Independent desire. Because love means you have to give freedom to the person. So God has given us, God has ultimate freedom and we are part and parcels of God, so we have limited freedom. And that freedom can be misused. And that's what we have done. And for the misuse of the free will, we are put in this wonderful world called the jail. Material world. And here also everything is available, but all under punishment. It's low quality. And that is the meaning of spiritual world versus material world. In my childhood, my sister used to play a game. In Marathi they call Bhatukli. What is it called in Hindi? The girls play, they make their own home. And then they have the mama and they have a baby also from doll.
They say ghar ghar.
Ghar ghar. Okay, ghar ghar khelte hain. So my sister was very fond of this game and she would call all her friends and sit down and she will have a pressure cooker in which the rice is boiling and she would have a belan and this thing of making chapatis and she would have a lot of other facilities like that and she and her friends are playing and you go and hear their talk, it is as if real, मेरे बच्चे को स्कूल भेजना है बस क्यों नहीं आया अभी तक and you wonder what are they talking about and I used to get disgusted with that game. I used to wonder what they're living in some imaginary world. So I would go and walk like a Rakshasa, on their play toys. Big sound my sister would make. And my mother would come with a jadu. So you rascal, why are you troubling them? You go and play your own things. Why you want to trouble them like that? I said, what are they playing? These are fictitious. There is nothing like that existing. Why don't they do some real thing in life? So I never understood. Similarly, I asked the mother, why do you give them that facility? She said, she came to me and she said, I want to cook like you. And I said, come on, you will play with fire at this age? That's not good. You can't do that. So because she was struggling too much, so I gave him a toy set. Similarly, we wanted to imitate God. And God, in return, because He is the supreme controller